No, that's not where I wanted to go. So, um, nope. Hey everybody, no, that's the hardest part of making videos for me is the introduction part. I'm not sure if I should be like, hey everybody, thanks for watching my video, or if I should just be like, hey guys, how's it going? Or I don't know, sometimes I feel like I should just jump into the camera, make something cool for an entrance. Superhero landing. Uh, but today I'm making a video so that I can share my progress. Um, for those of you who have already seen my GoFundMe page, you'll know that I was recently diagnosed with papillary thyroid cancer. And I actually got that diagnosis on July 3rd, and today is July 26th. So it's been kind of a hectic month. I'm currently in Houston, Texas. You can see this is not my house. This is a nice hotel room. I'm within walking distance to MD Anderson, and originally a couple of days ago, I flew out here to do all of my pre-assessment appointments. They did an ultrasound, and then a bunch of blood work. But then they decided to go ahead and schedule my surgery for August the 1st. So that is, oh my gosh, it's 6 days from now. So I decided to go ahead and stay in Houston instead of trying to fly back to Arizona and then fly back out here, because I know that a lot of people have been dealing with issues with getting their plane flights delayed, and I just did not want to take that risk that I would get stuck in Arizona and then not be able to fly out here. So, as far as progress goes, I'm going to go ahead and just back up and start at the very beginning, because I know I haven't actually really given any details. I think this is the first video that I'm posting since receiving the diagnosis. The first thing that I wanted to just share with everyone is that the way I am choosing to view this is that it is a hurdle and not a wall. So if you're familiar with running, I was never a runner, so I don't know why I'm using that as a example, but they run and then they jump over hurdles. Or people use it in phrases all the time. Like, it's just, it's a hurdle and you have to overcome the hurdle. And so for me, this is not a wall. It's not something that it's going to block my path or make it so that I'm not able to continue. It's just, kind of a significant hurdle, but nonetheless a hurdle. And I'm going to get this treatment done and then be over with it. So July 3rd, I got my diagnosis. And so I'll start at the very, very beginning. So very, very beginning was about a year ago, probably a little more than a year ago. I went into the doctor, just primary care, and she noticed that my neck looked enlarged. And so then she was like feeling my throat, and she could tell that my thyroid was enlarged. And she recommended that I go get an ultrasound. She diagnosed me with goiter. She recommended that I go get an ultrasound. And I didn't actually ever go get the ultrasound because I was busy, but also because she was retired. She retired probably a week after I saw her, and I got a letter in the mail saying that she had retired, and so I had to go find a new primary care physician. So it took me a while to do that, and I didn't feel any need to go do the ultrasound, although I do regret it now. But I didn't feel like I needed to go do the ultrasound because I didn't have a primary care, so I wanted to get a primary care first and then go do the ultrasound. So anyways, fast forward a year, I started seeing a new primary care physician, and I started having, this might be a little TMI for some people, but I started having some just general health issues, and one of those health issues that I started having was really heavy menstrual cycles or periods, and really irregular periods, and really painful periods, and to the point where sometimes I would just be on the floor holding my stomach in pain and I couldn't stand up. Like, it felt like something was stabbing me in the stomach when I tried to stand up. So I set up an appointment to, I set up an appointment to see a primary care physician, and then at the same time, I also set up an appointment to see a OBGYN, like, I think that, yeah, because it's obstetrics and gynecology. So when I went into the primary care, we talked about, I was also having some issues with my asthma. My asthma went from being kind of average to just within a year, it was really bad. And I was like using my inhaler constantly, whereas I actually went years without using an inhaler at all. And so for me, I was like, that's weird and so I wanted to try to get on some sort of medication to help with the asthma. And so he gave me some medication to help with that. And it did help. It definitely has helped a bit, I think. But and then I could have stayed at that office to do the like women's well checkup, and I decided not to, which I'm really grateful that I decided not to. I ended up going to an OBGYN to deal with the problems that I was having, like the female problems that I was having. And when I went in, she looked at my throat and she's like, your throat's really enlarged, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. And so she strongly recommended that I go get the ultrasound. And also because it was tied into the fact that I was having these menstrual issues, and thyroid issues and menstrual issues do go hand in hand because your thyroid does help regulate those hormones. So then at the same time, well, I'll skip all that. So I did finally go in to do the ultrasound. When they did the ultrasound, they found that I had a nodule that is somewhere between like 3 centimeters and 4 centimeters and 3 centimeters. I don't know. But it's a large, because generally speaking, when nodules are measured in your thyroid, they're measured in millimeters, not centimeters. And so because mine is literally being measured in centimeters, it's quite large. And so they wanted to do a biopsy on it because it was so large. And so they set me up with an endocrinologist. The endocrinologist didn't necessarily, I walked into her office and I sat down and she said, well, you're so young. You're so young. There's no way you have cancer. You're so young. And then she didn't order the biopsy, and I ended up actually calling the place that was supposed to do the biopsy, and this was a month after I saw her. I called the place that was supposed to do the biopsy, and then I asked them to ask her to give them the referral so that way I could go in and get the biopsy. And so they did. They called her. They got the referral sent over, and a couple days later I went in to do the biopsy, and that was July 3rd. So I go in. They used ultrasound to find the nodule, which is right here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I'll see if you can probably see it kind of moving up and down. So they did not use any numbing the guy who did the biopsy said that if they used some sort of numbing medication, then it would cause distortion when they looked under the microscope to see if it was cancerous, because they would get a lot of the medication in the biopsy instead of just the cells they're looking for. So they didn't do any numbing, which was fine because it really didn't hurt. It definitely was less than a shot. So when you get a shot in your arm, and definitely less painful than getting your blood drawn, much less. So it was just like a tiny little poke, and then a little bit of pressure, like if you took your finger and put your finger on your throat and kind of pushed in. That's kind of what it felt like. And so it was weird, but it wasn't painful, wasn't bad. So then he goes out, takes the samples, comes in about, 15 minutes later, and says, yes, it is definitely papillary thyroid cancer. The good news is that papillary thyroid cancer is the most treatable cancer that there is. So as far as thyroid cancers go, I don't know about other cancers, but sorry, give me 1 second. So I get the papillary thyroid cancer diagnosis, and then I went back to my endocrinologist, and my endocrinologist told me that she wanted me to go find somebody else because she was actually in the process of retiring, and she said that this condition, although it is a easily treatable and has a high success rate for treatment, it does take some time, the whole process. So the surgery is really the first step, and then there's a whole process that you go through afterwards. So she was saying that she didn't want to treat me. She wasn't going to be able to help me, and I needed to go find somebody else. So then I went to the endocrinologist that she recommended that I go to, which was Banner Endocrinology at the University of Arizona. I think it's through U of A. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just, but anyways, I called them and they said that the first available appointment they could get me in for was going to be September something, 17th, 18th, whatever, which is 2 months from now, right? July, August, September. Yeah, 2 months from now. Which I wasn't willing to wait that long to go in to see the endocrinologist. And they had recommended that I go see a surgeon in Tucson who I watched some videos of him, like interview videos of him, and I'm not going to say who it was because I feel like that's not appropriate, but I just wasn't very pleased with the video that I saw of him. So I decided to start looking into some other options, and I got referred by multiple family members to MD Anderson because it is a cancer center, and that's what they do. They specialize in treating cancer. So I looked them up. I filled out a referral form, which I just did on my own. I didn't have to have my doctor do it. And then they called me within a couple of days, and within a couple of weeks, I had appointments, and I'm out here in Houston because they do have to have you physically come in for the appointments because they want to use their stuff and they want to get to see you and get to know you, and so that's why where I'm at right now is in Houston. Some of the information that I've been getting along the way, as far as blood draws, so far my thyroid hormones seem to be pretty normal. Pardon me. Which is kind of unfortunate. Like everybody keeps saying, like, oh, that's so great that your thyroid hormones are normal or within that normal range. But one of the things that I wish that my thyroid hormones would have been off earlier because then I would have been able to put two and two together sooner. I have to admit, like, one of the biggest reasons that I didn't see this as more urgent when for a year ago was because my thyroid hormones were normal, and so when you have iodine deficiency, your thyroid can become enlarged, but your hormones can stay normal. And so, like a year ago, I just thought it was because I wasn't getting enough iodine, and I started increasing my iodine intake. But if my thyroid hormones had been off, like that would have been more of a concern. But my blood results have always been showing I'm always within that normal range, except for a few other things. And I'm not really sure why, but it's like I'll have to look it up. I think it is calcium. No, not calcium. I don't know. There's one thing that I seem to be pretty consistently high on every time I do the blood draws. So anyways, my blood work seems to be pretty good. One of the things that is notable is that it seems like I've got some like low iron, like anemia kind of stuff going on. So that's going to be important going into the surgery because you don't want to have low iron when you're getting a surgery. So for the next few days, I'm going to really try to increase my iron intake and see if I can get that iron up. So the, let's see, ultrasound. And I did a CAT scan too, or a CT scan. And there's been a lot of information that goes back and forth between has the cancer spread into my lymph nodes? Is it on both sides or just one side? And so I had the guy who did the biopsy said, because I do have nodules on this side too, so I've got them on both sides, and he said, you're going to want to have a total thyroidectomy. And then my endocrinologist, she kind of went back and forth between, she was like, well, I don't know, and I don't know, and well, maybe, and you could just not. And so really I just kind of threw out anything that she said because she was very like difficult to work with. So and then I came in and did another ultrasound here at MD Anderson, and they said, yeah, you definitely have the large nodule on this side that's you could see without having to use any sort of tools. But then they looked at the CT scan because I got a CT scan before I came up here, and on the CT scan it said that it looked like I had a lymph node on the other side that was probably like around here somewhere, and that lymph node definitely looked irritated and inflamed or whatever, and so they were assuming that the cancer had spread to this lymph node. So then when the doctor here at MD Anderson looked at it, she said, nah, it doesn't really look that bad, and so she was saying that she really didn't think that it had spread to the lymph nodes, but essentially, nobody really knows, and nobody's really going to know until they cut open my throat and dig inside of it. And that's kind of the harsh reality of it, is that when you the tests can only show so much, and they give guidance to guidance. I don't. It's a D&D reference if you guys aren't familiar. So if the ultrasound and the CT scan and the blood work and all of that stuff just kind of gives the doctors an idea of what's going on, but they're not going to really know until they actually look at it, visually see what's going on, because from what I understand, they can see like the things that are irritated, or like they can see the cancer, and then when they're doing the surgery, they will also be doing pathology, so taking biopsies of different areas and running it through pathology so that they can figure out what needs to go. So as of right now, I'm scheduled for August the 1st to have either a partial thyroid removal, which is a lobectomy, or a full thyroidectomy, which is the total, taking out the full thyroid, and lymph node dissection or neck dissection or whatever that's called. So essentially what it means is that just going to go in and they're going to see what they're going to do when I get there. Which is a bit nerve-wracking. And MD Anderson so far has been extraordinary with the communicating and they're trying to be really reassuring, which is great. Like it's hard to tell somebody who's about to go through a major surgery, like, hey, by the way, we don't really have a lot of specific information for you. We got to just kind of, make our best guess. And nobody wants to hear that when you're about to get your throat cut open. So they try to say things like, well, it looks like things are blah, blah, blah. And then, we'll adjust things as we need to. But MD Anderson has been so great, and everybody here is so friendly, and they really take time to sit with their patients, or at least for me, and I'm assuming that's why everyone else comes here too. But they sat with me, and I've had so many wonderful conversations with even the people that do the blood draws. They're really empathetic, very empathetic, and the lady who I did my anesthesiologist appointment, prior, like an interview appointment for the anesthesia. She was telling me that she actually had papillary thyroid cancer too, and so we got to sit there for a little, and she was working at MD Anderson. She said she had her thyroid removed at MD Anderson, and so it was really great to be able to talk to her and get her input, and so this whole experience has been really nice, and I'm in Houston, and it's so moist here, which is, so I don't know, I'm sure nobody knows, or why would you know, but I have issues with dry skin, like really dry skin, and my scalp gets really dry, and so it gets really itchy because it's dry, and my face gets dry, my hands are always so dry, and being in Houston where it's 100% humidity, it's been 100% humidity this whole time I've been here, has been really nice. My skin just feels so good. It's so moist. It's wonderful. I probably shouldn't touch my face, but whatever. And then my scalp is not itchy, and which is really nice. It just feels nice. My hair is poofy because of the humidity, which is fine. I don't mind. But it's been raining pretty much every day, and I haven't really traveled a whole lot to other places. So one of the things that I've noticed about being here in Houston is that it's not like the rain in Arizona. Arizona, when we get rain, it rains hard and fast, and that rain just comes down and just plummets everything, or whatever, destroys things. Here in Houston, the rain that we've been getting here is just this pitter patter, and it just pitter patters for hours, and so the amount of water adds up after a little, or after hours and hours. But in Arizona, when it rains, it just pours, and so you get these huge puddles, and then the puddles disappear within a couple of hours because, Arizona is dry, and so it just absorbs all the water. But here, the water just sits. It's just sitting on the top of the buildings and sitting in the road, and so I'll tell you a little funny story about me being here. So when I left Arizona, I knew that it was raining here, and so I brought what I thought was a rain jacket, Turns out it was not a rain jacket. So I was wearing it because I'm within walking distance to the hospital, and so I was wearing my jacket, and I was walking to the hospital and it was raining, and by the time I got to the hospital, I was just soaked, totally soaked. I had an umbrella or at the hotel, but I forgot it at the hotel, so I didn't have it with me while I was walking. So, anyways, my jacket was not a rain jacket. So I went to the store here to try to see if I could find a rain jacket, and I realized that I didn't know what a rain jacket looked like, or, like how to find a rain jacket. So, that was a fun experience. I started asking some people in the store. I was like, "Are you from here? Is this a rain jacket? Like, where do I find a rain jacket?" And it was funny, the looks that I got. I had to explain to people, like, I'm from Arizona. It doesn't rain there. And if it does, it only rains for like a minute. So you just pull over and wait for it to stop raining. Or you just like stand somewhere out of the rain for 10 minutes and it'll be gone. But here, it doesn't go away. It was raining all morning today. So, I don't know. I've been having a really good time. And I think that it's, even though this is obviously like a stressful situation, it's, I'm trying to see the good in everything, or see the positive side of everything. And one of those positives is that I love to go to new places and see new things, and so it's been really fun to be here and see these like new places and experience this new weather and talk to people from like, a different place. It's such a wonderful experience. So I think that's pretty much the update that I have for right now. I'm going to make another video on what some of my symptoms have been throughout the years that I probably shouldn't have ignored, that I believe are red flags or things that I should have been able to connect to having thyroid cancer, but that'll be a different video. If you have donated to my GoFundMe, I want to just say thank you so much. I'm sure most of you or some of you may know that I was really struggling to find a job, and so like part of the reason I went to the doctor was because I was just bored, nothing else to do. So I decided to go to the doctor, and but I was really upset about not being able to find a job, and I had been kind of upset about it for a while. So it's our financial situation was not great because we had spent a lot of money on trying to get me through college. So to be diagnosed with cancer right at the end of that, it seemed like we were in a lot of trouble financially, and just because of everybody being so, like, being able to help us, it has made it so that it's really taken us from that wall to a hurdle, whereas before it definitely felt like it was a wall. And so I just want to say thank you so much, because I mean, you have no idea, all of you who have donated have helped me just so much, and I'm really thankful for it, so thank you.